Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Seeing is Believing. I'm your host, JR, and today we're going to look for the truth that may just keep you free. So let's get into the video and see what we can find.
I feel vulnerable every day. When I'm out on patrol or just walking my beat, it feels like a threatening situation could erupt at any minute.
I did my name and ID or date of birth or any of that other crap.
I've explained that to you already multiple times.
And that answer is?
Violation 148A1 PC, resisting, obstructing, or delaying.
We just want to make sure that there's no threat to our facilities because we have had attacks on law enforcement facilities all across the country.
Pay attention.
And that's our concern. Okay, we want to make
He's
sure
scared.
everybody is somebody doesn't have any nefarious reasons for doing it. If you want to film from a public sidewalk, film all you want.
As a police officer, I constantly live in fear that I might be filmed brutalizing a civilian.
What the doing?
Just yesterday, I pull over a black couple, and I kept thinking, what if I escalate the situation? And they pull a phone on me, and the footage lands on YouTube. Something like that could end a career in seconds. It's something you know from the time you're a cadet. The slightest civil rights infraction in front of anyone who's looking, and the next thing you know, you're surrounded by cameras and trending on Twitter.
You've been known to post stuff on like YouTube and stuff like that.
Fine. Well, that's fine. I mean, he can do that.
No cop should have to worry about that.
Get an attorney, file a lawsuit that your rights are being violated in this office.
Practically every precinct I know has somebody serving desk duty just for acting on deeply rooted prejudices when somebody had a recording device on them.
He's saying that he wants both of us on one side or the other. He's trying to dictate where we can and can't stand. See, he needs to back off. Back him off now. Back him off. Back him off. Don't move. Guys, get off of him. Don't touch me. Get off of him.
He's got his hand on a gun.
Get your hand off your gun.
It happened to my partner, and it even happened to our own captain. One day, he's just kicking an unarmed pedestrian
and kicking the suspect right in the head.
Ooh. When all of a sudden, people with cameras are everywhere, and then they just start shooting what he was doing, all 6 minutes of it. I can't help but think sometimes that could have been me ending up at that desk job. You never know which day of total impunity will be your last, but for a cop, that's just our daily reality.
Yeah, and our reality is that we have to put up with that, or we have to do something about it. That makes my blood boil. And as an American vet who swore an oath to the Constitution of the United States, come on, they swore the same oath. Why aren't they sitting in their houses just getting all kinds of upset right now? Because they swore an oath to uphold our rights. Through this video, you're going to learn a lot of information that is a need-to-know basis by we the people. The police know how to maneuver you. They've been taught that. As you've seen in the video just a few seconds ago, they're on the path of destruction, and it's our destruction that's in their way. And they're coming after us. And if we don't correct this, if we don't stand up for our children and our grandchildren, we're going to face a lot of issues. Hell, we may even become slaves to this. Why? Because we didn't stand up. We didn't fight for our rights. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're not fighting for your rights, you're giving them away. And now a friend of mine told me, well, I'll just let him tell you for himself. If you give your rights away, guess what happens?
Well, you're probably going to have to give them away to Big Bubba, too.
So let's pay attention to what they're doing, and let's see what we can do about it. Because the truth is they're not going to tell you everything that they want to tell you. They're just going to tell you the simplest things, and they're only going to tell you that after they've gathered information. So let's see how they do it. Let's see what happens, and let's get into this, and let's see what we, the people, can do to protect ourselves against incrimination and incarceration. Let's go. What you're looking at here is, I asked a question on Google, and it came up to this law enforcement page, golawenforcement.com. And basically, I asked the question, what's the duration of a police officer's schooling? And as you can read right there in the highlighted words, it says the duration of training in the police academy varies for different agencies. It usually takes around 13 to 19 weeks, and on average, but can last up to 6 months. Well, if you go down just a little bit further down here in the probation period, it says the probation period is usually about 6 months and can be reduced or increased. So basically what that's saying is, okay, this person can get a badge put on their shirt, get a gun, get a taser, get all the military equipment they can get, and be put out on the street in 6 months. Well, my wife is a beautician, and it took her 2 years to get the license to cut people's hair.
And it takes how long to be a lawyer?
6 years, 8 years, 10 years sometimes. Depends on what kind of law degree you want to get. But see, the whole thing that you have to understand is what comes next. I looked up, okay, well, what is it a requirement to become a police officer? And what I come up with is this: what you see before you. You see that they need a degree or a high school diploma. They need academy graduate. They need a of course, preferred degree. Of course, 6 months is all they need. Now, then they get put on the street. Working knowledge of local, state, and federal laws. Well, they swore an oath to the Constitution, yet I don't know how many of them have actually sat down and read the Constitution. Strong communication and leadership skills. Well, I would say, yeah, that's probably a thing they have. The ability to remain calm and exercise good judgment. That's questionable. I'm going to put a question mark right by that one. And good physical condition. Well, okay. Well, this good physical condition idea, not every cop is healthy, and most of the ones that I see on these videos are donut eaters. And a buddy of mine was talking to me, my buddy over here, Jeff, was talking to me the other day about something he said. And here's what he came up with. Go ahead, Jeff.
The 3 things you should never say to a police officer when he pulls you over. Number 1, you had to be at least doing 120 to keep up with me. Number 2, whatever you do, don't check the trunk. Right? Big one, right? But number 3, the most biggest one, drum roll.
Ding.
I thought you had to be physically fit to have this job.
One of the requirements one of the requirements is to be in good physical condition. So I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what all these sheriffs and deputies and police officers are doing, but they're not staying in good physical condition. They're not serving us very well. Team player, well, we all know they're team players, but we all know what team they're on. We won't go there. Now we're going to go to what's called the responsibilities. Enforcing local, state, and federal laws. Of course, that's understandable. Patrolling assigned geographic zones and respond to calls. That's understandable. Apprehending and transporting suspects. Interesting. It went straight from there to there. Interviewing victims, witnesses, and suspects. Gathering and logging evidence. Writing citations, delivering warrants, and testifying in court. Preparing and providing accurate reports documenting incidents and activities. And responding to emergency and non-emergency situations, and preventing, here, this is the one I call question 2. Preventing and investigating illegal activities, domestic disturbances, accidents, and etc. If a police officer is standing in the area that another police officer is violating the rights of the people, we the people, then you got to see what he's doing. It's really going to come down to what comes next. And what comes next will just beat the guts out of you when I read it to you. I really don't want to bring you this information, but here we go. All right, let's go to the next page. Let's go to this information right here, okay? What this says, if you'll scan up on the page, just a second, Jeff, scan up on that page all the way up to the top. I want them to see what they're actually looking at. Go, there you go. And what does it say at this? What does it say right there, Jeff? Can you read that to me?
Police have no duty to protect you. Federal court affirms yet again.
Let me reinstate that. Let me restate that for you. police have no duty. I'm ringing Uvalde here. Police have no duty to protect you. Let's go down to what I had highlighted here, Jeff. Now listen to this. Neither the Constitution nor state law impose a general duty upon police officers or government officials to protect individual persons from harm. Listen to what this says. Even when they know the harm will occur, says Daryl H. Hutchinson, a professor at the University of Florida School of Law. Police, listen, oh, this just gripes me. Police can watch someone attack you, like another police officer, and refuse to intervene and not violate your Constitution. So recognize that if that police officer standing over there, his job is a team player. His job is to play by the rules of the police force. And his team, that guy over there, whether he's doing wrong or right, that's what he's going to go for. Okay, now you go on down to the bottom, and it says the Supreme Court has repeatedly held that the government has only the duty to protect persons who are in custody, he pointed out. Now, let's go to where maybe we can understand how to protect ourselves here. Okay. The police are going to read you a warning, or read you your rights. But if you go look it up, if you type in the word Miranda or Miranda rights, which is what I did, here's what you get. You get a thing called Miranda warning. Warning. The Miranda warning is a police warning, which is given to criminal suspects. If you're in detainment, here we go. Criminal suspects who are in the custody of law enforcement in the United States before they can ask questions regarding to what took place during the crime. Well, let's read a little bit further and see how far that actually can go. Law enforcement can only ask for specific information such as your name, your date of birth, and your address without having to read the suspects their Miranda rights. Confessions and other information that you provide them will not make up admissible evidence unless you have been made aware of and waived your Miranda rights. Well, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. The cops are going to stand in front of you. They're going to ask you for your ID. They're going to ask you for your date of birth, your name. They're going to ask you for all the information that does not make it have to go to an arrestable situation, but they're still going to ask you questions. Remember, in the understanding of Miranda, which we're fixing to go through in a minute, don't say a word. They are looking to incriminate you. Let's go over and let's look at that and see what it says. Highlight that for me, Jeff. Okay. Let's read what this says. Here it is in your face. The Miranda warning is this. You have the right to remain silent. All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Are you paying attention out there? Are you looking? Hello, is there anyone out there listening to me?
Test, 1, 2.
Right. You see over there in sign language, say 0. Give them nada. No words. No deeds. Because look at the very next line, and this will tell you the intention and the job of the police department, the sheriff's department, the criminal justice system. Listen to this. Here it is, right here in your face. Anything you say, and according to what it says up here in, if you go up to the videos, anything you say and do can and will. Let me repeat that. Can and will be used against you in a court of law. Now, I've showed you what a cop has to how a cop has to train. I've shown you what his duties are and his responsibilities are and how he's supposed to carry himself. I'm showing you what they aren't supposed to do, and now I'm telling you exactly what their intent is. Can and will be used against you
in the court
Listen,
of law.
against you. Is he your friend? Is he looking out for you? Is it his job to protect you?
So I have something to say here.
To an attorney. Okay, well, listen to this. I'm not an attorney. I'm not any kind of law student. So I'm not taking anybody's advice on anything here, and I'm surely not giving it. I'm just trying to get you to see what the words say, because in a minute, I'm going to give you some really interesting information that I guarantee you the police are not going to tell you you have the right to do. Now, let's go down to the very last one here, and it says, if you could not afford an attorney, now imagine that one would be provided for you. Okay, here we go. You're out there and you have this whole situation going on, and you're not saying a word. Police are asking you all kinds of questions. You're not doing anything. You got your doors locked. Make sure you lock your doors when the police are there. Do not let them doors be unlocked. Do not open your window all the way. Just a little bit. Open it just a little bit. All you have to do is let the police officers hear you. Make sure your seatbelt's on. Make sure you're obeying the law. Because the only way they can stop you is if there's an infraction such as a light out or something like that, or if you have committed a crime, which is.
But that infraction on the light could have went out while you're driving down the road and not aware of it.
Well, see, they don't understand that, and the whole thing comes down to, again, which we're fixing to find out in just a second, is okay. What is it that they're going to do? Let's go back up to number 2 up there, Jeff. Number 2, what does it say?
Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law.
Okay, well, let me see if we can go to the next screen, Jeff.
Okay, next screen, boss.
Next screen. Okay, I asked the question I don't know if you can see up in the search department, it says define incriminate. Incriminate. Now, this is if you incriminate you. The first one under the big word incriminate. Make someone, yourself, appear guilty of a crime or wrongdoing, strongly imply the guilt of someone, yourself. He refused to answer questions in order not to incriminate himself.
Because you opened your mouth and you did it to yourself.
Now, if you go down just a little bit further, you'll look at all the understandings of incrimination or incriminate and the definitions. Okay? So what is the actual meaning? Okay, well, there's so many, but to incriminate means to accuse somebody of a crime or to find evidence, search for evidence, seek evidence. Anything you can and will, anything you do can, or anything you say can and will be used against you in a court. Now, this part of can and will, this is incrimination. This is what they're looking for. This is how they prove their worth out there in the field. This is their duty to serve the city, to serve the system. Another video, but to serve the system. They are the soldiers of the system. Another video. But what is their job? Let's go to, okay, so I asked another question. The next question I asked is, how is it that police will incriminate you? And I scanned through all the information that I got on the screen, and I came to this one, and I got to say, I love this guy. I've read all about this guy, and he seems to be a real down-to-earth lawyer. He has, here's his information on the page. You can read all about him. You can look all into him. Yeah,
Ned Barnett.
Ned Barnett. He is an interesting person.
I wonder if he's any relations to Carol Barnett.
I think her name is Burnett.
Oh, there you go.
But here's what I asked. How do the police get people to incriminate themselves? Now, let's read this because, oh, my gosh, he just puts it right in your face with the plain-ass truth. Excuse me, I almost cursed. The use of torture and coercion to obtain confessions from suspects is unlawful. But read what follows. But the police can use or may use every other possible means to get people to incriminate themselves. Let me read that again. But the police may use every other possible means, short of coercion and torture now, to get people to incriminate themselves. Law enforcement is allowed to lie to and intimidate suspects.
Say what?
law enforcement is allowed to lie to and intimidate suspects, which yields results similar to physical torture. It's not torture. It's almost torture. And as such, suspects often self-incriminate themselves and confess to crimes they did not even commit. Come on. And the high rate of false confessions from some American interrogation techniques, such as the Reed method, can even lead to the abolition of several European countries, such as Germany. Exactly. Now that I've told you all about what the police's our intentions are and how what they're looking to do and how they're going to act when they come in front of you, now let's go to see what kind of rights you have other than the right to remain silent and listen to them blab in your ear. Let's see if we can put them in their place. So here we go. Now this is a page full of information, and I heard somebody on a video one day, and they said that you had the right to travel. And I said, what? And they said, you had the right to travel without a driver's license. And I said, that's not possible. Because the first thing a police officer asks for is a driver's license. U.S. Supreme Court says no license necessary to drive automobile on public roads. Now, look at that picture. I don't know, but that woman off to the left or off to the right of the page, isn't that one of the Supreme Court justices?
Yeah, she just passed away,
Right.
during Trump, and Trump actually reelected a position seat for her.
Right.
So, yeah, and what you see right now is only 6, 7, 8, 9, and I think there's actually like 12 now or something like that.
Well, let's just read this next line up under the pictures. U.S. Supreme Court and other high court citations proving that no license is necessary for normal use of an automobile on common ways.
Say what?
Now, what does this mean? Does this mean I can go out and drive without a driver's license? That I don't have to take a test to get on the road to prove that I can drive? No. The truth of the matter is I looked it up, but I couldn't find any information, and I'm still searching for it. But I would think that to obey the law, which is what this is fixing to say, to obey the law, the first thing you must do is you have to become of age, be old enough to drive, that you can go down to the Department of Motor Vehicles and prove to them that you can, if necessary, get a driver's license, that you're going to get a learner's permit, and that you're also going to get an ID, because everybody's going to ask for an ID. Now let's read. The right of a citizen to travel upon the public highways and to transport his property thereon by horse-drawn carriage, wagon, or automobile is not a mere privilege which may be permitted or prohibited at will, but a common right which he has under the right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that before. No, isn't that isn't that under the Bill of Rights, to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? Under this constitutional guarantee, one may, therefore, under normal conditions, travel at his inclination along the public highways or in public places. Now listen, this is important. And while conducting himself in an orderly and decent manner, neither interfering with nor disturbing another's rights, he will be protected, not only in his person, but in his safe conduct. Now, Jeff asked me a question a little while ago, and he says, okay, you're saying we don't have to do this, and we don't have to do that, and we have the right to do this. And he asked me, he says, does that mean when I go through town, can I go 90 to nothing and not stop at any stop signs? Well, okay, it says right here, while conducting himself in an orderly and decent manner, not harming anybody and You're only protected if you do that, if you act in a orderly fashion.
So that means all of you out there, quit speeding, doing the stop, and start stopping at the stop signs, and respecting one another, and quit bumping and rubbing paint. You know, that's all we're asking, bro. Just slow down, stop feeding, just slow down, man. Just take it easy, bro.
Okay, my friends, I'm not telling you to go out here and break any laws. I'm not telling you to do anything suspicious, or actually I'm telling you the opposite. There are steps you have to take. First off, you got to obey the law. You have to obey the law. If you're going to have a confrontation with the police, okay, know that you got to videotape it. Get your own evidence and know your rights. That's the very things you have to know. After that, it comes down to everything that happens in place for you, such as right now. We're finding out. Scan down just a little bit, Jeff, and I think you already have right down there. See, there's a case. There's a case here. And I want y'all to go to this page. We Are Changed. This is an amazing site. I've went in here and, oh my God, this guy he's got so much information. And I guarantee you, if you go to Luke Uncensored and you get into that guy's information, he's going to put your ears on fire. But I want to draw your attention to where it says Thompson. Okay, I'm going to start at the top. Thompson v. Smith, 154 Southeast 1 or SE 579. And it gives you the case and all that. Constitutional Law, Section 329, page 1139. The right of the citizen to travel. Now, this is in the constitutional law. This is American jurisprudence. Every jurisprudence official should know this. The right of the citizen to travel upon the public highways and to transport the property thereon in the ordinary course of life and business, in common right which he has under the right to employ life and liberty, and acquire and possess property, and to pursue happiness and safety. It includes the right, in doing so, to use the ordinary and usual conveyances of the day. And under the existing modes of travel includes the right to drive a horse-drawn carriage, a wagon thereon, or to operate a vehicle, an automobile thereon, for the use and an ordinary purpose of life and business. Now let's look at the next one, because here's where it comes important. Knowing this one right here can set the police officers back on their heel. If you're traveling, and understand what traveling means. I got to stop you right there. Understanding what traveling means. Look this up. Traveling is the freedom to go on the roads for anybody. However, operating a motor vehicle and using a driver's license, this is an understanding and a totally different purview. Because what it's saying, basically, if you look at anywhere you're in your state and you look at the law of that state, it'll use the words motor vehicle operator. It'll use the words motor vehicle. It'll use the words, motor vehicle, and using the word driving. Give me your driver's license. If you are not working in your car, in your truck, if you're not working, period, and you're driving that car, you are traveling. That's the difference. If you're working, if you're a cab driver, Uber driver, a delivery driver, a truck driver, whatever, it is by law you have to have a driver's license. That is the law. Look it out. Look it up. I'm trying to keep this short. So let's go on. What is the understanding of the Fourth Amendment? And here I got it before you. And I want you again to see. Now, all I did was type in, and if you look at the top of the screen where it says where I searched for it, it says Fourth Amendment for police officers. I typed in Fourth Amendment, and a search came up right up under the category that said this, exactly what this says. And this is how you need to hear it so that you can see it. The Fourth Amendment it sets the standard that police officers must have, that they must have probable cause and require a warrant before conducting a search. Now, we've already told you they're out to incriminate you. We already told you that they're out there looking for whatever evidence they can find to burn you. This is a system that these soldiers out here, they're armed to the gills. You're not. They're the ones who are doing criminal activity because they're out there trying to go against your rights. It already said that, the word against you. They are against you. So let's look that they're not holding your rights. Okay? But let's now look at the Fifth Amendment. What does the Fifth Amendment say? Okay, the Fifth Amendment comes to this understanding. It says it protects every person from incrimination. It says by the use of evidence obtained through search or seizure made in violation under the Fourth. Now, that means if they snatch your ID out of your pocket, they just reach over there and grab it without asking you to give them ID, or you refuse to give them ID and they all of a sudden have you in detainment, you have the right to the Fourth Amendment, which they cannot seize that without a warrant. Make them get a warrant to get that name. They have to prove a crime. There's one coming next that the cop has to do. But see, there's one thing that says it, that the word that says in there is probable cause PC. That's how the officer sees it. Probable cause. What probable cause? Or as the officer knows it, it's called reasonable articulable suspicion. Now, according to the definition that I have written right here in front of me, is what is this reasonable articulable suspicion? Well, on my screen, I don't know what yours reads, but let's see. Reasonable articulable suspicion is closely related to another legal standard known as probable cause. Probable cause is the high standard police officers must meet. Let me rephrase that. Let me say that again. Probable cause is the high standard police officers must meet before they can search a vehicle or arrest a suspect. Reasonable articulable suspicion is a lower standard than probable cause. Reasonable articulable suspicion is the belief by the reasonable person. Now listen to this jargon they have created. This is cop speak right here. Reasonable articulable suspicion, they've gotten away from probable cause, which is a higher standard. Reasonable articulable suspicion is the belief by a reasonable person that the suspect violated a law or regulation. This standard is subjective. There is no bright line between what a reasonable person would or would not find to be evidence of a crime. Who regulates the law? Well, again, that's going to be the system. That's another video. Okay, but we're trying to bring you to an understanding of how a police officer can work. If you look at the difference between probable cause, which is in the Fifth Amendment, but then you go over here and you read this, okay, to me, reasonable articulable suspicion sounds like they circumvented it and decreased the higher value standard that they set on the police officers to actually really prove that. I mean, come on, what is their job? Their job is to enforce the laws of the Constitution and the laws of the land. The land, not maritime law. Oh, totally different video. We're going to get into that way later on. But you see, the police officers, the sheriff's department, when they get in their car every day, they're not looking at you saying, I'm going to bust this person. Not until you give them a reason. Not until you've come up with some kind of idea. So that's why we're doing this video, so we can give you every avenue of approach to stop them from approaching you and allow you free travel without any kind of police interference. Okay, so what can we get from all this information? There are laws that these laws are here to protect you. They were written way back in the day. And if you look at this right here, please pay attention to this.
And you can pick one up at your courthouses. They should have them right there on the desk.
Any place that is a federal building will have this. Post office will have this because it's all federal information. This is the law of the land.
Not maritime.
Right, not maritime law, which is what the police officers, the system the police officers work under. Now, let's go with what you can do to protect yourself, because we already know the police aren't going to do it. We already know what they're doing. They're trying to make you a criminal. They're trying to incriminate you so they can put you in their system and make you pay them for the rest of your life. Protect yourself. This is what this video is about. Know the law. Videotape anytime you're in contact with the police. Shut your mouth. I don't know how to say that any nicer. You have the right to remain silent. If you talk, your attorney is going to have the worst time in the world. Make them cops prove you wrong, because in this country, the truth of the matter is you are innocent. You are innocent until proven guilty. So respect yourself enough to know I haven't done anything wrong. This cop is not going to coerce me or torture me into believing that I have to do something that he doesn't want me to do, which is incriminate myself. He's looking for that. You talked about funding the police. If you don't break the law, he can't get a fine. If he can't get a fine, he can't bust nobody. He can't prove to the business he's doing his job. Before you know it, if we're all correctly doing the law, understanding the law, getting it right in our own self, having government, which is control over the mind, having government over our own selves, what need would we have of the police or the sheriff's department or even a governing faction? With that, I want to say thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. Thank you for hearing what I brought forward, what was brought forward to you. I want to thank Junkyard News for that video.
Don't forget to stay tuned to Creststone Podcast and Radio right here. You hear it right here on that sweet, sweet moment and the things you need to do. But we're not here to defund the cops. We're here to educate you so you can educate the cops, because obviously they did not get the education that they needed during their schooling.
Right.
You've seen proof right here with Supreme Court ruling. There's no higher court than that.
Right.
You got federal court, ruling on this. But at the same time, I'm going to throw a disclosure on it, on this, and I appreciate you guys paying attention and listening to the whole show here.
And Google. It was all Google.
Oh, yeah, Google, not Yahoo. Sorry.